I think I just found the best way to make a transition in a soft track. So sort of a drop, but not a drop that goes into a bass part, but a drop that goes into a really tasty mid-range part. Listen, this is post the effect that I'm going to show you. And this is pre the effect that I'm going to show you. The difference is subtle, but if you are listening closely, the effect enabled is closer to the actual color of the upcoming part than the dry signal. Okay, so the problem that I initially wanted to solve is that this part sounds very different to this part, and I wanted it to be a little bit more similar right when the drums and especially this other synthesizer down here kicks in. And then I remembered, Pro Q has an EQ match feature where you can input some signal as a reference curve and then you can use that to EQ match some other signal with that. And it had me thinking, what if I put Pro Q on the master bus like I just did and then just play this section that this whole thing starts with in a loop, and meanwhile save that as a reference EQ thingy. And now that I did that, I can just move it a little bit more to the left and now use the EQ match feature with the warm pad thingy. Now obviously we have a little problem here because this part also contained a huge bass while this doesn't, and we can see that here it tries to add all that bass. Obviously that is nonsense, so we can delete it, just as well as this part of the thing is nonsense. We only want to have the overall differences in the resonances actually. So now this is the curve that we have and it sounds like this. Now as you can see, or hear, hopefully, when Pro Q is enabled, it does sound a little bit more like the part that it's ending up in, because that part just feels more cleaned up in terms of the signal to noise ratio, while the build up is certainly noisier. And you can see that noise going away when the setting is enabled, which is kind of funny. It looks like a super extreme setting, but it actually cleans up the signal in a very nice way. EQ matching is an outstanding feature. Now, another interesting thing to note here is I did that before because I wanted to test how good it works. And you can see that the curve it gave me the last time looks a little bit different. So you actually have to repeat this experiment sometimes until you find or get some setting that you really like. I like the new setting more, so I can delete the old one. And now the next part of this technique involves automating the gain scale of this equalizer, because that is basically a macro for all the filters all together. Now you can actually automate the gain scale to do exactly this modulation that you had in mind, which is approximating more and more of the sound that it will end up in and then hard cutting back to normal, because there the sound is already on itself. How does it sound when we are doing this 100%? I think that actually sounded perfect already. I thought I would have to tweak this, but I think I don't. Let's listen to the last few bars, now with the effect disabled and then enabled again. This transition got so much better with this very subtle, I would almost say psychoacoustic trick. The EQ match feature of this plugin is really something. I think it's often overlooked. I don't even use it that much myself, but whenever I come up with an idea how I can use it, it is just incredible. It creates these very weird shapes that you would never make on your own, but they are just so specific to the situation. They just make sense in those moments.